It's Friday at DCI, it's the final day. Today we've got a lot of packed in, as we have had for the whole week. Today the focus is very much on SMEs, it's on innovation, it's on science and technology, and there's a series of presentations running throughout the theatres all day which really capitalise on that. So whether that's naval, whether that's in the land, East Theatre, whether that's in the West, whether that's all across the North Hall in the Security and Special Forces area, there's a lot focusing on SMEs and apprentices today at the event. First up of note in the East Theatre is the DGP Innovation Challenge. This will be outlining the next stage for the Defence Growth Partnership and inviting SMEs to get involved and work with the government on creating innovative new products. Later on, also in the East Theatre, is the Rising Stars reception. Now this is something that was new in 2013. It's really about getting the next generation of our apprentices and engineers into DCI and showing them very much what the future of the industry and the future of the defence sector and security sector look like.
We have to drive greater efficiency, but the really good news is that what we save in defence is kept by defence and we can reinvest it. So that's a huge motivational factor for our people, whether they're military or whether they're civilian. So we're in a good place. Big challenges still, but we are in a good place. We are involved right now in 21 major operations around the globe. We are dealing with those immediate issues that you mentioned, migrant crisis and Iraq and Syria, and other particular key immediate concerns. But we are also very focused on heading off trouble before it occurs, and I think we're going to be doing more of that. We're there building capacity in other nations which are vulnerable to the sorts of things that are happening, vulnerable to ISIL, for example, getting a foothold there. We're training their forces, we're building capacity, we're helping them economically, as well as the commitment on our defence budget. We are the only nation in the world that has that and has a commitment also on international development and the amount of money that we're putting in there. So we know that the best return for the UK taxpayer is on getting that money in early, in heading off problems before they occur. And our armed forces do a huge amount of that.
Delighted to be here, and what a week for the Chief of the Air Staff to come and present to this exhibition. this week in September, exactly 75 years ago, that the Luftwaffe launched its biggest raid of World War II on London. The clues as to what faces today's generation of UK airmen and influences the next and the defence industry are all there, hidden as they so often are in the events of history. It is clear that air power offers great utility to the nation, and this dynamic will not change. But I suggest the role of industry in its delivery is changing, subtly, perhaps gradually, but it will be significant, to the extent that the future of the UK defence aerospace industry and the Royal Air Force is now as one. Air power, by its very nature, has been at the forefront of technological development since its birth, and technology will inevitably have a part to play in our solutions. But there is something much more fundamental that we can do first: think. To be more specific, that is to demonstrate thought leadership, our ability to think new and difficult problem areas to identify innovative solutions.
CD is simply about military capability and achieving a military advantage for UK armed forces. And it's about achieving that military advantage through accessing advanced technology. And in 7 years, we've brought in over 5,500 proposals. And interestingly, 57% of those proposals have been from SMEs. Although I have to say that of all those 5,500 proposals, a number of them did contravene the laws of physics, and it's interesting to see that Star Trek transporters and invisibility cloaks are still alive and kicking out in the research world.
My name's Lieutenant Colonel Doug Bowley. I'm a UK military general surgeon. One of the signature injuries of the IED-based conflicts that we're seeing now is bilateral lower limb injury associated with pelvic injury and particularly genital injury.
Blast injuries are amongst the most difficult injuries that a surgeon may have to encounter and try and manage.
In late 2009, I first became aware of people having these really severe genital injuries, and then in early 2010 we started looking at what we could do. And an obvious thing was not prioritising hormones, which is what had happened before, leaving small pieces of testicle intact, but could we actually do something where we got the sperm out of them at the time of the injury?
We were increasingly seeing guys who would have died in previous wars survive to rehabilitation.
DSEI is an opportunity for the Royal Navy to articulate its interest in technology and innovation. We have a large number of apprenticeship schemes, and we encourage the investment and education in the science and technologies that support both the Royal Navy and, of course, transfer across into British industry as well.